Okay, let's get the vlog started. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to this installment of Mike's Vehicle Vlogs, and I want to thank you for joining me on this ridiculously hot afternoon. I chose the hottest day of the year so far to do this vlog. We are actually under an excessive heat warning, so I want to try not to stay out here as much because I've only been out here just for a few minutes and I already feel the sweat going into my eyes. So, but yeah, ridiculously hot. Supposed to be 95 as a high today, but with the amount of humidity in there, the heat index is supposed to be anywhere from 100 to 105 degrees. And the car is already clocking us at 88 degrees. So the afternoon is really just getting started technically, and I really don't want the cameras and stuff to stay out here for that long. But anyway, enough about that. This is it. This is the vlog that maybe some of you guys have been waiting for if you have been following the Ford Fusion saga. We are finally at the 1 year mark of ownership with this 2015 Ford Fusion S. Well, we're not at exactly the 1 year yet. Still about 10 days away, I think. Today's the, 20th of July, and I took delivery, bought the car on July 31st is when I actually bought the car, and so it's just a few days away, but this is actually a really nice day, and it's been a little while since a weekend has been pretty nice, with the exception of the heat, of course. So I thought I would take the opportunity to just do the 1 year. I doubt a whole lot is going to change with the Fusion in the next 11 days. And of course, if it does, then I'll just document it for a later vlog for you guys. Also, I'm back to using my old iPhone as an audio recorder because I ordered one of them little microphones. I used it on one video and the sound was cutting in and out, and I think the wire had already broke somewhere on the microphone, so I'm going back to the old school. It looks a little cheesy holding a phone, but hopefully it works. Hopefully the wind, there's actually a breeze today and it feels kind of good right now, but hopefully the breeze is not interfering with the audio. Anyway, this is it. This is our 1 year mark of the 2015 Ford Fusion S. It was an unexpected purchase, to be honest with you. For those who have not been following my channel for, well, whenever, I actually had a 2011 Ford Escape XLT before this, and it was, when I was looking to getting an Escape, I searched for a long time for that particular model. My Escape was the, I think it was steel blue is what it was called, and it was steel blue, but with the particular color of the one that I wanted, a lot of them had like the tan interior, and I wanted the charcoal, the black. So finally, a steel blue Escape with the charcoal interior showed up, and I had to have that traded, or actually sold my Grand Prix, my 08 Grand Prix, to my brother. I had the Grand Prix for about 4 years, and I bought the Escape and in 2015. And honestly, I loved my Escape. My Escape was an amazing vehicle. You know, it was at this point still actually, considering the time frame of how long I've had it, it's been the best car that I've ever had. I only had 2 issues with the car the entire 3 years that I had it. One of them was a very small issue. It was the fan speed resistor. It was a $25 part, and it only took a matter of minutes to fix. The other issue could have been a really, really major issue, but I had a transmission fluid leak coming from the driver's side half shaft, and I guess that was a known issue on that generation Escape because of a poorly machined half shaft at the time. So it cuts into the seal, and eventually you're going to start leaking fluid, and I caught mine just in time, or else we would have been in real trouble. So I ordered that kit for like $50-some off of Amazon. My friend and I tackled it twice technically. The first time the axle didn't really sit too well in the transmission, so I still had a leak, but we got it right the second time, and seriously, that was it. I put 4 new tires on that car, and that car was just fantastic. Best car that I've had so far. So if I'm talking about how great the Escape was, why did I get rid of it for a Ford Fusion, let alone a Ford Fusion S. I'm pretty sure that I might have talked about this in the first video with my Fusion. I'm not sure if I did or not. I'm sure I have. But basically, I don't know why. I just, over the years that I've done car videos on the Fusion with Mike's Vehicle Spotlight, I've test driven them. I've driven enough of these, and I just always said to myself, if I ever go back to getting a sedan, I want to get a Ford Fusion. And, you know, the thing of it is, I wasn't really expecting to actually get one because I love my SUVs, especially with the Escape. You know, I hadn't had an SUV for a long time, and I went back to the SUV, and I loved it. I loved having the SUV. But at the same time, I also missed the car-like feeling. I mean, obviously with like the Grand Prix and my 99 Alero that I had, my first car, which was the Pontiac Sunbird and stuff, you know, obviously a car handles different than an SUV, and I like that sport feeling, especially with the Grand Prix. The Grand Prix had a lot of sport, in its handling and stuff. It felt like an awesome car to drive. You can't really have too much excitement driving an SUV, especially that generation Escape. While it did handle well and the ride wasn't too bad, I was just kind of missed having the feeling of a car. So working at the dealership, you know, I start seeing cars come in all the time. I take pictures of cars for the dealership, and I'm one of the first people to actually get my hand on the stuff that come in. So one of the ones that came in was a 2015 Ford Fusion SE, and this SE was silver, much like mine, but it had the luxury package, the SE luxury package, and it was a gorgeous car. It had black leather interior, had the My Ford touchscreen. I mean, it was at that point the nicest, well, my perfect spec, I could, you know, is what I could say. It was if I were to spec out a Ford Fusion SE, that would have been it. And granted, I don't need the touchscreen. I don't need the navigation system. I don't need the leather and such. But it having all that stuff was just kind of like a bonus to me. So I did have an interest in it, and I was going to try to buy that one. Unfortunately, though, the payments were going to be way too high. It was, especially for what I still owed on my Escape and such at that time, it was still a little too far out of my price range. So at that point, I was just kind of giving up. You know, I figured, yeah, I'll just hold on to the Escape a little longer. It's not that big a deal. I love my Escape. But then not too long after that, somebody traded in this 2015 Ford Fusion S. The S is the complete opposite of the SE. It is the very base model Fusion. And my particular Fusion has not one piece of optional equipment in it. Nothing. Everything that this Fusion has was all standard as the base Fusion. And that's it. But I really liked it. I think it was honestly the first time I have been in a Fusion S since I did a video for Mike's Vehicle Spotlight on the Ford Fusion when they came out with this design back in 2013. And every other one that I've been in there since then has been either an SE or a titanium. But this was like the first time I had seen an S in a long time. And taking the pictures, the car was already clean, of course. Just as it was traded in, I had access to it just a few days after it came to the dealership. But I fell in love with this car. And even though I wasn't too 100% crazy about it, I did like the interior setup, how I kind of have a two-tone setup. All S models come with a two-tone interior with these, I think it's called earth gray, the earth gray fabric on the seats, and of course the black with the silver accents everywhere. And I really liked it. Plus, for an S model, it had everything that I could want, and honestly nothing more, nothing that I know I won't use. So I kind of decided to try to get this one, and it worked out. So yeah, it was an unexpected purchase. I wasn't planning on car shopping. I wasn't planning on getting rid of my Escape because I loved my Escape so much. But that is how I ended up with this 2015 Ford Fusion S. It was just kind of out on a whim, I guess. Now, over the course of the year, so far, this thing has not let me down. It is a certified pre-owned from Ford. So at this point in time, the factory 3-year, 36,000 mile bumper-to-bumper warranty is gone. The original 5-year, 60,000 mile powertrain warranty is gone, even though this has 43,000 miles, but it's over its 5-year mark, according to like the manufacturing date or first in-date service. I think it actually expired last month, or maybe the end of last month or something like that. But either way, the original factory warranty on the car is gone. So I'm left with the Ford's certified pre-owned 7-year or 100,000 mile powertrain warranty, which was definitely another selling point for me, because at least I know that as long as that warranty exists, the engine, the transmission, anything drivetrain related is going to be covered at least until I pay the car off. That gives me a little peace of mind that if anything goes wrong with the transmission or the engine or something serious, it is still under a warranty. Now, of course, silver. I went back to silver because silver honestly is probably my all-time favorite color on a car. This is the 4th car that I've had that is silver. So, ingot silver metallic. Love the color. Obviously, with the S, you do get some chrome trim underneath the windows. If you had like an SE or such, it starts to go around the entire window, but I like it just at the bottom. Color matching door handles. The wheels were one thing on the car that I wasn't crazy about, but I've actually grown to appreciate them. I do like the 10-spoke wheels. They look kind of dirty right now, even though the car had a wash. I did wash it a couple of, I think it was sometime last month, the beginning of last month, so it was thoroughly cleaned and vacuumed, but it still looks pretty good. But the wheels, they got kind of road grimy and brake dusty and stuff, you know, but when those wheels are clean, they look fantastic. They shine so much. I did have tire shine on it. That's gone. Another thing that I didn't care for as far as it being an S, and again, at first it was, nowadays I honestly don't care, to be honest with you. I don't care at all. But the lower black cladding, there's black cladding at the very bottom on both sides, and there's black cladding under the front bumper and under the rear bumper as well. That is an S only characteristic. All of the other Fusions above the S model are all color matching, but the S model has the black. At first, I didn't like it. I didn't really care for it, but now I just don't care, to be honest with you. I think it's fine. Over the course of the year, as far as cosmetically, I mean, the car was in fantastic condition when I bought it. There were no scratches. There's no dings. I mean, like I said, it was a very well taken care of car. I did manage to do one bit of damage to the car by accident during the winter, but I have got it fixed. It wasn't something that severe, but on one of the doors, I don't remember which one now, I don't remember if it was this side or that side. It was over the winter. We had the huge snowstorm. I was carrying the snow shovel outside, got too close to the car, went to go turn the shovel, and the blade at the end of the shovel, the corner of it put a small scratch in one of the doors. And of course I was very upset, but it turned out it was just clear coat. I just took clear coat off. It wasn't that deep. So I actually had the guy who comes to my dealership, who does the touch-up paint for the cars, he touched it up for me, and you wouldn't have even known that there was a scratch there. So fixed, and the rest of the car is back to it's basically perfect right now, for the most part. The overall styling of the Fusion is also something that I really, really like about the car. It's very, very aggressive at the front. I love the aggressive front end with the large chrome billet grille and the projector beam headlamps, and the side profile is just so swooping. I mean, I love the way the car looks from all angles. It's just a fantastic car. It's got LED taillights on the back that look awesome at night when you have the lights on. I do wish that it was more of the titanium style taillights though, because the titanium style, the outside of the lights are red. They glow red, almost like a halo. But with the models that aren't a titanium, just the clear center parts are the only parts that actually glow red. I don't care either way. It looks good. It's awesome, and I'm just happy overall with just the entire styling of the car. So interior wise, the interior is obviously another thing that I absolutely love about my Fusion, and all Fusions, to be honest with you. And I particularly like the first generation setup of this interior a little bit better than the one that they released in 2017, which obviously didn't change anything too much, but it got rid of the shifter, the actual shifter. There's a knob that you use to shift the transmission now in the Ford Fusion. So 2016 was the last year for this, and I'm glad that I got to 2015 because that ensured me that I was still going to have a shift lever. But the inside of the car really hasn't changed a whole lot since I brought the car home. These earth gray seats, however, as I originally predicted, they do tend to show watermarks or just any little stain over time, like the bottom of my driver's seat, probably from like working and stuff. If I get sweaty or something like that, I mean, the seat does look slightly darker than it did, and I'm not happy about it. So at some point in the future, obviously, we're going to have the seats re-cleaned. But when I brought the car home, these seats they looked brand new. The car went through a thorough detail process, and the car was just immaculate when it came home. But overall, really, nothing has really changed on the inside. I mean, the rest of the car still looks the same. It got dusted off recently, so it still actually has a little bit of shine left on the dashboard. I haven't reapplied any kind of armor all or anything to it yet. But it looks good. It looks good, and I'm happy with it. As far as the overall styling and stuff goes, I love what the inside of this car offers. The base gauge cluster has a, I love the way that the cluster's set up. It does have the smaller display screen in the center, though, the information screen. Usually, if you get like an SE or anything above that even, you'll have a wider colored screen with some more diagrams and stuff, some more pictures. But I just have the text screen, basically. But it's still very informative, and I'm not complaining about any of that. So the S models came with that. It actually looks cool at night because I love the blue font with the display screen at night. I just think it looks really awesome. So right now, here are the final numbers so far for year one, at least at this point in time. But I know that this will change as we reach the 31st. But it just kind of gives you an estimate on how far we've driven in the first year and some other things that this car kind of displays. So as of right now, the car itself is at 43,564.9 miles. When I bought the car, it was around 34,000. So the trip odometer was reset when I brought the car home, the day that I took it off the lot, of course. So we reset it from day one, and that means that so far I have put 9,040 miles, 0.9, on the odometer since I've had the car. So by the end of the month, it's probably going to go up just a little bit. So we're going to say about 9,100 miles is what I've put on my car in the first year that I've had this one. So that's really not bad. That's under the mark, the average. It used to be 12,000 miles a year on average, but nowadays a lot of leasing, if you're going to lease a car, it's like 10,500. So if I were leasing it with a 10,500 mile lease, then this is definitely below your first year of driving for the lease. So that's cool. Didn't really put as much miles on the car as I was thinking I would have, especially with a longer commute to work and whatnot. That being said, I have driven the car at the time the counter's still running, but 430 hours, 21 minutes, and 50, 51, 52, 53 seconds. 430 hours of driving time so far I have had on this car. Again, that'll change a little bit over the course of the next few days on the actual anniversary date of the car, but that's not really that much of a big deal. And we have used, at this point, 384.94 gallons of gas. 384.94 gallons. Ain't that something? I'm glad that this thing actually keeps track of all that. 384, might as well say 385 gallons of gas down in the first year. And I'm averaging at 23.4 miles per gallon at this time with my current driving habits. That is over the course of the year, of course. So with the way that I've been driving it, where it's been and whatnot, we've averaged 23.4 miles per gallon throughout this first year. And that's really not bad either, considering this is not an EcoBoost engine. I love the features that this car has. There's nothing in this car that I don't want. Like I said, it's just an S, but everything that the S comes with is perfect for me. It's got the automatic headlights. It's obviously got the driver information display. It's got cruise control. It's got sync. It's got the voice command, Bluetooth phone. It's got the display for the radio. It's got MP3 capability. Obviously, it's got air conditioning. It's got a backup camera even. And that's something that's very rare for a base model. But 2015 Fusions came with a backup camera on all of their trim levels. So that's kind of cool to have too. It's even got select shift, which if you don't know what that is, you drop the transmission down to S, and then there's two buttons on the side of the shifter that you can use to actually manumatically shift the car yourself. And I've wanted a car to do that. Now my wife's Fiesta does it, and I use it from time to time in the Fiesta, and I think it's fun. But I'm kind of surprised. I've only used it just a small handful of times in the year that I've had my Fusion. So it's still there, and I still use it from time to time, but I don't use it as much as I thought I was going to, which, like I said, I'm quite surprised. The one thing that I didn't like about the Fusion at first, and honestly, it seems to work just fine, so now I don't care, but I don't like the idea of having an electronic parking brake. Now, I've used the parking brake occasionally, usually whenever the car is parked at an angle or something, because I don't like putting that strain on the transmission if the car isn't on level ground. So I do use the parking brake, and it seems to work just fine, and there may not be a problem with it, but I just hope that someday if I go to need that brake, I hope it's always going to be there. I'm not a big fan of electronic components when it comes to stuff like this, so hopefully it'll still be there. That's all I'm saying. Something fell into my water, and I'm not happy. So as I mentioned, this Fusion has the 2.5 liter Duratec 4-cylinder that produces 175 horsepower and 175 pound-feet of torque. This is the exact same engine that my Escape had, only the Escape made 171 horses and I think 168 pound-feet of torque. But it's the same engine, and one thing that also sold me on the car was that it doesn't have a turbocharger. It's just the base, naturally aspirated 4-cylinder. And the only reason why I was worried about getting the EcoBoost engines is because the maintenance of the turbocharger and stuff. I mean, I'm sure as long as you keep the oil changed and stuff like that, you should never have a problem with your turbocharger. But I was just kind of thinking also, like, what's going to happen if, something does happen and, it's gonna, if a turbocharger goes on a car that's supposed to have a turbocharger, then your car is not going to run good at all. It's not going to perform the way it should. If it was a certified pre-owned, it probably would not matter because it would be covered, under the powertrain warranty. But I'm just happy with this engine because it was an engine that obviously I had prior to this in my Escape. Regular oil changes. Tried to always keep the top clean, even though mechanically they might not do a whole lot. But the overall performance of the engine, for as long as I've known this particular engine, is fantastic. No issues, runs smoothly. This car actually runs smoother than the Escape did, so it doesn't vibrate as much in this car as it did in the Escape. And it's just an overall awesome engine. We've done one oil change to it, and that was a few months back. It's coming up on its oil change for 45,000 miles soon, within the next 1,000-ish. So we'll be doing another oil change on it. And it doesn't lose oil, it doesn't burn oil. It has just been It's just been a fantastic engine overall, and I'm very happy with it. It performs well in the car. It's not the peppiest of engines, but you can get this thing to go if you time the shifts out just right and such. It's pretty good powertrain. Pretty good powertrain. So now it's the moment that a lot of you have probably been waiting for. You want the hot goss on what this car has been like over the course of the year. Hot goss. I've been listening to my wife too much. Anyway, so you guys want to know now, what issues have I had with my Fusion within its first year? And you know what? Nothing major. There's been nothing major that has really taken place with this car yet, and hopefully I won't have any major issues with the car for at least many years to come. But if you've been following the channel for a while, since I've had the car at least, you know that the car has been to the dealership just a couple of times for some little tiny things that had to be fixed, and really nothing, like I said, nothing major, but it was at the dealership several times since the car has been brought home, and that was just for a few things here and there that need to be fixed that somehow didn't get taken care of during the certification process, I guess, and not that big a deal. It was covered. I didn't have to pay anything to have this car maintenanced yet. So it's yeah, so far it really has been issue free. It went back to the dealership after I bought it because there were a couple of things that took place that I noticed. The first thing was the power outlet that's down here on the console in front of the shifter wasn't working. And when I went to use it, nothing worked when you plugged it in. Then I noticed if you mess with the plug itself, it would start to kind of cut in and out. So I knew the outlet was probably bad, and that's what it turned out to be. So they replaced the outlet. The one prong that holds the power plug in place was loose or bent somehow, and it wasn't holding the plug firmly, and that's why I wasn't getting good contact with whatever I was plugging in. So that was taken care of, no problem there. Another weird thing too was the driver's side wiper arm would not go all the way up like it should. It cut off nearly right in the middle of your vision path whenever the wipers were on, and I knew that was kind of off, so I took it back to the dealership. They resynchronized the wiper motor, and then the wiper arm went way too far over, which didn't seem to be a problem. But what I noticed is that the wiper itself, no matter how wet the windshield would be, the wiper itself would get hung up, and it would almost like get stuck on something on the windshield, even though there was nothing there. It was almost like the windshield was completely dry, even though it wasn't. And I knew there was an issue there, so I took it back again, and it turns out that the wiper, the blade, was actually a couple of inches longer than what was supposed to be on here. So whoever changed the blades put the wrong size wiper blades on it, and the wipers were actually hitting spots on the windshield that they shouldn't have been hitting. So that turned out to be the resolution to that issue. Both wiper blades were replaced. The motor was resynchronized with how far the wipers should travel, and I haven't had an issue with my wipers ever since. So that was just a little thing there, not that big a deal. When I bought the car, the fuel filler door was actually broken. It's supposed to click in and out. When you push on it, it clicks outward, and then you can open it up. There's a spring that holds it so it doesn't shut on you, and I didn't realize that. So the spring was broken, the door was kind of flapping, and then I noticed it wasn't actually clicking shut. Even though I thought it was shut, it wasn't actually clicking shut. So we got a new door put back on. They kept the color piece so that the paint matches and everything. They just slid it off and slid the new one back on. And the door has been fine ever since. So that was another little issue there. Again, really wasn't that big a deal. The car handled great when I bought it, drove fine, but I noticed after having it for a few days that it was pulling to the right slightly. It would pull, and which was kind of odd because I thought the car had a front end alignment when it was purchased, when it went under certification, and sure enough, it did. But I guess the one tire was slightly worn slighter than the other. So what they did at the dealership when I took it back they swapped the 2 front tires from side to side, because I guess it's called radial pull, and the issue has been corrected. Now, ever since winter, usually during the springtime, the road crews are out fixing potholes. We had really bad potholes everywhere this year, especially the closer I get to work, the crappier the roads get. So this thing does not really have the same perfection handling that it did when when I bought it, and that's because all the potholes and everything that the car has been driven over, unfortunately, I think has knocked the alignment off slightly, and it is going to need a front end alignment. It's not really pulling too much, but when you're on the highway, you can really start to feel a slight shimmy in the wheel, so I know something's kind of off balance. So we do have to get a front alignment at some point. Now, I might hold off on that until we get tires, because we're probably going to need tires. Well, I'm hoping I can hold off on tires until maybe next spring, but we will need tires. I think these are still the original ones. They're not in terrible shape, but obviously they've got almost 44,000 miles on them, roughly, and we're going to have to get them done at some point. So I think that's probably part of the issue too, is the tires are getting worn over the course of the year also. And but the roads are awful, especially when I get closer to work, and some potholes unfortunately were hard to avoid, and try to take it slow, and the whole car is just rattling and shaking, and I hate it. I hate living in the area here where the roads are just complete crap. So that's another issue at some point. Again, not a huge issue, but that's more like a maintenance issue, but we'll have to have an alignment done again. But other than that, it handles fine. It seems to drive in a straight line, but I know that we're going to have to get the wobbly part, taken care of at some point in the future. I actually took the car over a curb by accident, and I'm still kicking myself in the butt for that. I didn't mean to, obviously, and I wasn't going fast either. I was going like 3 miles an hour in a parking lot that I'd never really parked in before, but I parked in an area that I'd never parked in before, and when I was leaving, I was paying attention to a car that was coming towards me, and I went to go cut the wheel to the right prematurely, started turning after the car went its separate way, and sure enough, the entire right side of the car went over a curb, because I didn't see the curb, and it was at a spot where I had never really parked before. Didn't notice the curb was there, so it didn't seem to do any damage. It might have scraped up a little bit of the there's like a shield under the car. It's like a fiber, like an insulator shield. It kind of scratched that up a little bit, but it didn't seem to do anything to the car. It didn't affect the way the car has been driving, and I think that, obviously that'll never happen again. The only other thing that I can think about that I had the car in the shop for was I did have a slight concern with the transmission shifts, but they checked the transmission and stuff like that, and it seems to be okay. There doesn't seem to be any issues with the transmission. It may have just been like me being paranoid, because every now and then you might get a hard shift, and it's something that I guess a lot of this type of transmission will do. Even one of the techs said that he has the same transmission in one of his Ford cars, and it's not the quickest when it comes to shifting always on time like that, and you might get a slight jolt or something like that. But really, I haven't had any complaints about the way that it shifts. I know that we're going to have to probably do a transmission fluid change here soon. I'm hoping maybe around 50,000 miles. When we do that oil change, we'll probably do the transmission fluid change. I know now they say that you can go a very long time with the fluid in the transmission, but I've heard otherwise from technicians on YouTube, which is, that could actually resolve some of the shifting issues that I thought I had, because my Escape, I changed the fluid in it, and it shifted perfectly after I did a fluid change on that. So, I don't know, that might be something that we'll definitely take care of, hopefully no more than 50,000 miles. Now, as of currently, there are a few things that I have been slightly concerned about with stuff that has to do with the Fusion. Stuff that I hope won't be major issues in the future. But one thing that I forgot to mention a long time ago was there was one instance where I got in the car. This was actually around the time that I brought the car home, so maybe, I don't know, a month or two. Maybe, I don't know. But either way, I have a picture of it. So I got in the car one night to go somewhere, started the car up, and just as I was getting ready to back out of my driveway, the airbag light came on, which was really weird. So the airbag light came on, it stayed on, and I just sat in the driveway for a few minutes. I thought, maybe it'll go out. Yeah, I just kind of sat there, put the car back in park. The light's still on, and honestly, I've never had a car myself that has had an airbag issue, which, that's something that I just thought was really strange. So I turned the car off, turned the car back on after a few seconds. The light came on, it went off like normal, and I haven't had a reoccurring airbag light since. So I don't know if that was just a glitch with the airbag module somehow, but I have not had an airbag light since, and I know I forgot to mention that, I'm pretty sure. I just thought that was very strange that I had an airbag light for, 2 minutes. Every now and then, and it hasn't happened actually, now that I think about it, this has not happened in weeks. But every now and then, my transmission will have a jolt going into reverse. Again, another very strange scenario, considering that everything 1 through 6 seems to shift okay now. But sometimes when the car goes into reverse, it'll jolt. And it hasn't done it in a while now, come to think of it. But I remember wanting to try to capture it on camera on my phone, because that's how little it does it. Like, if I wanted to bring somebody out to take a look at it and try to demonstrate, it won't do it. It won't do it. It'll do it when you're not expecting it. It's very strange. I finally caught it though. But yeah, so one time I took my phone, I put it on the steering wheel, just, to put the car in reverse, and I got the jolt. So I showed it to one of the technicians at the dealership, and they said that I guess there's a known issue for what they call solenoid B in the transmission, and I guess those have a history of doing that. So don't know why. And right now, like I said, it really hasn't seemed to have been a concern. It's only done it very few times since I've had the car, and it hasn't done it in a long time. But maybe at some point in time, we may have to have solenoid B in the transmission replaced. So I don't know. It's a very strange thing. And the only other thing recently that has started taking place, and again, it's one of those, it doesn't do it all the time, it's just a hit or miss situation, but my seatbelt seems to be locked when I'm not wearing it. And it's very strange, because I actually notice it happens when I'm at work, when I'm leaving for the day, and I always park in the same spot at work. I have the same spot that I park in at work, and when I go to put the seatbelt on, if I just grab it normally, like this, grab it normally and go to put it on, it'll lock within just a second, like you're pulling it like that. So as you can see, it works. It locks like it should. It's unlocked now, but for some reason, when I go to put it on every once in a while, and I go to reach for it, it's already locked, and then I gotta pull it out real slow, like this, and then once it's on, it's fine. So again, I don't know what the deal is with that. I'm assuming it has something to do with the pretensioner in the pillar. I don't know if it's something that's going to have to be replaced. It works, so I'm not concerned about it, but I just thought that was a very weird issue, and that literally just started happening within the last month or so. So I don't know. I have no idea. But other than that, seriously, this car has been fantastic, and everything that I mentioned has not honestly hindered any of my ownership experience. I love the car. The car is very comfortable. The car is very quiet. The car is just amazing, and I'm honestly still glad 100% that I bought this particular Fusion. And I still have a good feeling about the car, and I think I'm going to have it for a long time, and I think it's, as long as we take care of it, you know, as issues may come up or whatnot, you know, obviously routine maintenance, oil changes and stuff, we should never really have any major issues with this vehicle, and I'm looking forward to the rest of my time with it. I think that's all that I have to say for this review. Now let's go back to the park. Alright guys, so that's it. I want to thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope that you've enjoyed my 1-year ownership review of my 2015 Ford Fusion S. If you are somebody considering buying a pre-owned Fusion of this spec, or any other Fusion for that matter, I do recommend it. It's been a fantastic car, and I still have no intention on obviously getting rid of it at this point in time. I think I will have this for a long time to come. It's just been a fantastic car, and I'm honestly pleased with everything so far that the car has offered to me. So that's all that I've got for today, guys. Please, if you enjoyed this, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to comment. Don't forget to share the video, or the channel for that matter, and check out all of my merchandise at teespring.com/stores/Mike's Vehicle Spotlight for all of your MVS and vlog merchandise. That's all I've got for today. I'm going to go inside and turn the air on. It's hot. I'll see you guys next time, so thanks for watching. Take care.